Hello everyone, this is the Mega Construx Call of Duty Beach Invasion set for 2018. It comes with 386 pieces. I got it for $40 US off Amazon. Pre-ordered it back in June of 2018 and it shipped out in October 2018. It's a nice reminder that Mega Construx, formerly Mega Blocks, is a construction toy and collectibles brand. They've done a lot of figure-based packs, more and more of those. Over the past year or so, they've released less of the proper construction sets, but this is pretty good. It is definitely a proper construction set. It definitely has some nice build techniques involved with it. And this is not the first World War II Higgins boat-based set. That's the landing craft vehicle, personnel. That Mega has released. The first one was back in early 2014 when I was still new to the Mega brand myself. I reviewed that. It was called the Landing Craft Invasion set, I believe. Came with more pieces. Also had a structure element to it. They had a pillbox, a bunker for you to assault, and that was inspired by Normandy. But I think this is just a better boat. The set has less pieces than that previous one. It also costs a bit less, but I just think it's a much better build. It looks nicer, looks a little bit more realistic to me personally. It's still not entirely realistic. It's definitely still sized down quite a bit relative to the real ones, but I think that this is an appropriate size for what it is. You can still put a lot of people inside of there. The original one had a string. It was split into two, go all the way along the sides, back to the back where it was collected, and you could pull on a single string to pull the ramp up. Well, this one, rather than having that kind of weak system, actually has a windlass here, and you can turn that, you can rotate it to actually winch up the ramp and let it down. They give you just enough string to let this come down to the surface. I actually need to let just a little bit out. You want to keep your knots nice and tight. I was not all that good at that myself, but if you do get this set, watch out for that. Don't leave any extra string hanging off either end, but this does allow this to come down pretty close to the ground, and the interior space is it's well managed. It's well set up. They don't have a lot of stuff in the way, so you can place your figures in there, stagger them side to side, leaving a one stud gap, and you should be able to fit quite a number of folks in there, even if it's not the fully realistic amount. You can see that the sides are done with a lot of studs on the side construction, and it's fairly thin, but it does have some depth to it, some thickness, a little bit of inconsistency with a lot of studs used below the water line, but I appreciate the fact that they did try to keep it fairly thin, so you don't have really thick walls. It does have the two turrets, and you can put a person in each of those. This is modern Mega Construx stuff, so there are no stickers whatsoever. Anything that looks decorated has a print. So this is where the person steering the craft would be. That's the thrust lever there to set your speed. A little bit naughty, I have to say, with the construction techniques there. That does get wedged in to place. It's under some stress. I did not like putting that together. You can just force it, and it does work out just fine, and you can still move that forward and backwards, but it's rubbing against this printed tile piece there. Just wanted to call that out to be fair. This section at the rear is not as good as I would like it to be. Ideally this should be a little bit longer back here, but they did kind of focus on the most important areas for this. And it does have a little bit of detail underneath. The prop shaft comes out, and there's a propeller that can actually be spun around. You can get that at a little bit better angle, and the little rudder can be turned from side to side. So on display it looks pretty decent. I personally would have preferred probably just a plain clear color for these stand pieces underneath Fortunately, they do include stuff to keep this upright, and level when it's on display. But I think those do stand out a little bit. They're a little bit more obvious than they ought to be. But a pretty respectable build. It is very sturdy for sure, especially considering how thin sides and the bottom of the hull are. I mean, this is mostly just a single plate of thickness there. And I have not set up the figures myself to see just the maximum number that you can get in there, but even leaving them on their stands, they can still be stacked in there and packed in pretty close. And certainly taking them off, you fit just a much more efficient arrangement of there. And like I said, you definitely want to stagger them from side to side. The figures are all very similar, so they are massable. You can see any of them or all of them being the troops who are being deployed, but ideally you would want to put one into the pilot position, the captain position there, and maybe one in one of these turrets. And here's an example of that, as well as a demonstration of just how close you can get the feet of the soldiers if you want to start stacking a bunch of them together. This can definitely make for a pretty nice looking scene, for a good diorama. Here's a closer look at a couple of the figures. They have a good amount of variation of subtle differences in tones between the different pieces of gear. The guy on the left, I believe, has a Colt revolver, and on the right is the M1 Garand with bayonet. You get a couple of backpacks in this set. A lot of the molds are the same between the different dudes, which, the different body parts, but I don't think that's such a bad thing. I think that these all feel like they go together, but there is definitely enough variance to avoid the Green Army Men syndrome, where it just looks like you have a whole lot of the same thing, the exact same thing. Here we get a different color for the M1 Garand on the left. That's an interesting, slightly yellowish metallic pearl gray. It's not really a silver. On the right is M1941 Johnson. There's the other backpack piece. You get just that one different helmet piece that doesn't have the netting texture over it, and they change the skin tones between some of the figures in the line while sharing molds, which makes them look different enough, but again, still compatible. Obviously, these two faces, though, are different. Mega has also started putting at least one strange piece into a lot of their sets, something that is different and odd and unique and allows you to do interesting things. This one has a rubber band over it, allows you to place it around a pencil or something, or a pen, and then you can build onto that. Or, of course, you can come up with many other uses for that. I think Mega does not get enough credit for all of the types of regular pieces that they've been using for years, that they came up with their own designs that are not in use by the most popular brick building toy company out there, but Mega continues to come up with still different things. This isn't groundbreaking, but it's cool that they try stuff. Overall, I think this is a very good set. My only reservation about it is the price, which has been brought up to real premium levels now. It's close to that 10-cent price to part ratio, which is unexpected for Mega Construx. Now, their level of quality is very good now. It feels like it's gotten even better over the past year and a half, which is surprising to me. I thought they had kind of plateaued, but it feels like they're still pushing and just releasing pieces that are more consistent in their finish. The really fine details of exactly how much shine each one has and everything, and the figures are very, very good. I've not continued to find major issues with them. I'm seeing less and less issues. So quality has definitely raised, but the price has raised even farther and faster. I still think it's an okay deal, but it's not in the range of what I once expected from them. One last thing that I do want to point out about this that really surprised me is that this actually came with numbered bags that went with the order of operations of putting things together. Previously, the Lego group had a patent that was preventing any company from doing that. Very basic, very simple thing. I thought it was a terrible thing to allow to be a patent. Very limiting, and basic innovation, not even innovation, just basic kindness to consumers. But Mega, I don't know what they've done, or if that patent is no longer viable, if there's a way to get around it or something. But yeah, this had numbered bags, which was so welcome. It's the thing that I've liked. I'm not going to say least, but probably second least about Mega stuff. Always the lack of numbered bags, which wasn't their fault, but they seem to have gotten around that, so big improvement there for sure. That's it for my look at this set, though. Thank you very much for watching. I'll include a link, a card or something, or a pinned comment, or both, to let you see my old review, which is probably a lot more boring than this one, but of the previous version of this, if you want to compare them a little bit more carefully and see just how much Mega has progressed over the past 4 years. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.